Hey, how's it going? Every time I do this, attract modes. Williams Big Guns. They should call it Big Back Box. I'm sorry, I'm kind of in the dark area of the arcade, but we'll have to deal with that. So, not long ago, I had an interesting problem with this machine where you couldn't start the game. It was saying that basically a ball was missing. I forget the error on the screen, but it basically a ball missing. All the balls are in the trough. So that leads me to think, okay, it's probably one of the switches in the ball trough. The switch has failed. It's malaligned and the ball isn't pushing the switch down and closing the switch. Or commonly what I see in here, because the machines are older, they've been vibrating a lot, that a wire has become desoldered. And I fully expected to open up this machine and just see a wire dangling off of the switch. I opened the machine and that is not what I saw. So let's open this up, and it's fixed now, so I can't kind of troubleshoot it with you, but I'm going to show you the path that I took to troubleshoot this because it was kind of interesting. Okay, so I've got the machine open so we can kind of go through the process of how I figured this one out. These are the trough switches. So 1, 2, and 3, or maybe it's 1, 2, 3. I don't remember the order. But this is where the problem was on this switch right here. I did go in and I did a switch test, and one of these was not, I had all the balls in here and one of these was not closed. But I don't remember if it was ball 1 or ball 3. It was just, it doesn't matter. One of them was not closed. And so I came in here and I manually pulled it down just to make sure. So I'm pretty sure at that point the switch is working, but I did a continuity test on it, and sure enough, it was closed. So we know the switch is working. I expected this wire or this diode here to be just dangling, or maybe this part just disconnected, but these were all connected. So what I did was, the next thing I did to troubleshoot this is I put one lead for a continuity test here, and then I went over to the back box, and it's dark over here. It goes to oh, this is terrible, I'm sorry. It goes to this wire bunch right here, the white green wire. So I did a continuity test into the little connector there, and I had no continuity. Okay, so if you look under a playfield, you're going to be dealing with the switch matrix. So this one up here, our problem switch, I'm sorry, right here, this is a white and green wire. And if you look down here, somewhere down here, we'll find another white and green wire in this bunch. And if we go over here, we'll find another white and green wire right here. There's actually one right there. So these are all cross-connected. That's part of the switch matrix. So if this switch isn't working, it can be due to either this wire breaking somewhere in this loop, or there is, I'm not going to dig in there, but it was the next thing that I checked. The wiring harness goes down and it goes to a connector down there. So you can disconnect the whole playfield and pull it. So I disconnected that connector and I did a continuity test from here to that connector, and I didn't get anything. So the break is going to be in here somewhere. I looked at the switch matrix and I went around and I checked all of the places where there's a green and white wire, and it gives you a list of all of those places in the matrix. And I looked at them and I checked the diode, make sure the diode's connected, and you make sure that the green and white wire is soldered in place. And I looked at all of them and they all appeared to be connected. So what could it be? My next thought was that maybe the wire had gotten severed in here somewhere. Kind of hard to do when you didn't have the playfield up and having it just fail all of a sudden. But it's a possibility. Maybe it got damaged previously and it was just holding on with one little wire, and finally that little wire snapped or something. So I got out a wire toner. So this is a wire toner that I used in my IT days to trace telco wires or Ethernet cabling and things like that. They're pretty cool. If you've never used one, you turn on the transmitter, you clip one of these alligator clips onto the wire that you're trying to trace, then you use this little toner. Oh, it's noisy from the machine. That's pretty cool. Let's go on the floor. Anyway, so then you take your receiver, you push a little button in, and when you get close to the wire, it goes dee-lee-lee-lee. So if you've got a bunch of wires, you can use this, and the wires are like unidentified or something, you can use this, and you can usually trace it down to figure out where the wire is. Pretty handy little devices. They're not too terribly expensive. I've used this several times troubleshooting problems in pinball machines. If you feel like you might need to use something like this, grab one. They're useful to have in a toolbox. So I connected the toner to here, and I went dee-lee-lee-lee-lee, and I followed it around. I finally got to another area, I forget where it is, where the green and white wire no longer went dee-lee-lee-lee. So I traced it back, and where I ended up going was right over here. You can't see it. I don't know what this switch is for. This switch is for one of the cannons. That's what it looks like. So this was actually disconnected here. I don't know if you can see it. This was actually disconnected, but it was just sitting right here and it looked connected. I actually didn't grab the wire and give it a yank when I was first looking for it. So that's all that the problem was here. But to find that disconnection, it actually took me a little while of tracing it. And plus, in the arcade, the minute you open a machine and you start troubleshooting, someone comes in the door and you got to close it up. So it took a little bit longer. So if you've got a solid state game, you might run into this problem from time to time where something fails, or maybe a couple things fail, but you look at those things directly and everything looks fine. The switch is working fine. All the wires are connected to it. The diode is fine. And then you check the other thing that's not working and maybe it all looks okay, but maybe you've got a failed diode somewhere in that leg of the switch matrix. That's going to cause problems as well. So check that whole loop and make sure that everything on that particular leg of the matrix is fine. When I opened this, I was sure it was going to be the wire on the switch. It wasn't. Then I was sure it was going to be where it connects onto the board, because these old machines, those little connectors on the boards, I have a lot of problems with those. And you have to repin the connectors and do all of this and that. It could actually be the pin that is connected to the board that your little connector plugs into. That pin could have a cold solder point. So that was sort of my next direction that I was going, is that it's probably back in the back box, but it wasn't. So you can do a continuity test to the back box, and then if your continuity test fails, then you know it's on the play field, and then just check the leg of that matrix. Okay, so let's look at the matrix real quick for this machine, and I'll kind of show you how that all looks. Okay, this is a switch matrix table for big guns. And I'm just going to point the camera at the screen and point at it, because that's quicker and easier than making a graphic and drawing all over the graphic and all that. I'm lazy. Give me a break. Okay, so the white-green cable was where we had a problem. If we were able to start a ball, if the left trough, if it was on a different line or something here, and we were able to actually start a ball, we would have had problems with the left cannon and maybe like the left guard and the right middle drop target. because it would have been disconnected all the way through. So let's go through this. So it's center coin chute, left ball trough, third ball, right drop target, middle, left guard top, left cannon, back box playfield, right one. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Oh yeah, it was this. There's switches up here for this little bagatelle thingy. So there's the center, left, right. 1 and 2, I think, is how it works. Right flipper lane change and the right out lane. So that white-green wire winds through to all of those. And we were broken on, it was disconnected to the left cannon. Now we knew that it didn't make it all the way up to the back box because I did a continuity check from the left ball trough switch up to the back box. But if that switch wasn't working, then it actually could have been on this line too, on the red-green line going down, because that goes through all of these different items. I should do a deeper dive and figure out a good way to explain the switch matrix table and do a deeper dive into that, because it's really helpful to understand it. I just have a hard time explaining it. Basically, the system will pulse through to each one of these columns, and if it notices that it's closed, then it realizes that, and that's how it knows what's open and what's closed. But I'll have to figure out a good way to describe it and explain it, and I'll make a video on that. But for our purposes, it was pretty straightforward. It was this wire broken here caused this to fail. That's basically it. So that's basically that, really quick and dirty, kind of how to troubleshoot something on a switch matrix line. So hopefully that'll help you with a problem that you might be having. I had done a video about Legends of Valhalla, which is currently dark. So what actually happened on Valhalla last time, it was the same sort of thing. I think it was getting hung up on that little roll pin, the ship plunger guy that stops the balls from coming out of the ship. It was getting hung up, that little pin had cycled down again. American Pinball told me that if that's blocked, or if something is blocking that thing from going up, it'll just kind of keep sitting and firing it. So it apparently had done that one night. I got called over because it was acting weird, and then I noticed the smell, and the coil had kind of cooked itself. I think the coil is okay, but we'll check it. So it was just sitting there firing. Finally, it blew the transistor on the board and the fuse. So it's dark right now because I don't have that transistor or that size fuse. I use little tiny 5x20mm fuses in those machines for some reason. So I have to fix it. It's $2. It's like $2.60 worth of parts, and I don't have it. I don't have them. So they're on their way, along with lots and lots of spares. So we'll do a video. We'll dive back into Valhalla and see what's going on with that. Anyway, so that's my quick little video on the switch matrix problem I had on that, and I think that's it. Okay, bye.